Our stories, our voice, our history hasn't always been welcomed. But we learned long ago that if America won't celebrate us, then we will celebrate our own, told our way, on our time. Today we have thousands of Black creators in film. Thousands of books are on the shelves of stores around the world. But it wasn't always as easy. For Lena, for Hattie, for James, for Zora, for Langston, we fought for a place in American history, and we've empowered our own voices, keeping our stories alive. Remember Philando, remember Mike, remember Trayvon, remember Sandra, remember Oscar, remember Brianna. No more will Black voices go unheard. No more will Black stories go unread. We will write our own history and create our own legacies. And each summer in Atlanta, we will gather. We will celebrate. We speak out. Black voices matter. Black stories matter. Black lives matter. Everybody has a story to tell. Make sure that you tell yours. Create your story. Dream out loud. It all starts with a spark. Like this thought or this vision in your head that gives you these ideas and these visions of who you want to be. And I can remember myself sitting in my room, writing in my journal about stories and characters of people I had no idea who they were. And I just knew that that's who I was going to be. I was going to write books. I was going to move to Atlanta, and I was going to become this big-time authoress. And I did that. I got the awards. I got the bestsellers list. I met some phenomenal people, and I've helped other people dream out loud. I think that when it comes down to dreaming, it's more than about just getting it done. It's about having fun and enjoying life while you do it. So y'all dream out loud with me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Black Writers Weekend. Thank you for tuning in with us. We are about to get started with our last interview for the evening. We have Dr. Gyasmine here with us. I'll bring her up in a second, but make sure you are following Black Writers Weekend, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. While this may be the last broadcasting thing, we still have a lot going on today and a few events tomorrow. So you have not missed out. Matter of fact, if you're in Atlanta, definitely check us out. Feel free to pull up at the events. If not, or if you just can't make it, make sure you're tuned in virtually. Now, I cannot wait to speak to our last author. Her name is Dr. Gyasmine. Dr. Gyasmine, welcome. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing good, Walter. How are you?
I'm doing very good, very good. Excited to be speaking with you to learn about your the work you're doing, what led up into your first book, this upcoming virtual launch party, and so much more. So I guess first off, let's talk about this event coming up, and then we'll kind of backpedal to how it all began. You have something up next Friday, is that right?
Next Friday, June 18th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to celebrate, as the world's kind of opening back up, we decided to do a virtual book launch celebration of my book, Love is at the Root of the Resistance, Seeing Liberation. And Walter, I'm so excited about this book. It released a few days before my birthday, April 18th, and my birthday is April 21st. So it was the coolest birthday gift, that I can give myself and hopefully share with folks. And so we're going to celebrate. That'll be the beginning of the Summer of Love book tour. So next Friday, 6 p.m., be there, be square. With your ticket, you get a copy of the book, autographed copy from me, just thanking you for my support. And I'm going to have my buddies Happiest Hours mobile bartending. They are fabulous. They're out here in Southern California with me, and they've created some recipes, and we'll have a toast to the book and toast just as we kick off Juneteenth. So it's going to be good. I can't wait.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We got people here tuning in. Thank you for tuning. If you have any questions, feel free to comment, reaction. Just go ahead and share your comments out. Hello back to you.
Hey, Lady T.
Yes. Now, man. All right. So I love that. I don't even think about it this way. This is coming up. Juneteenth is right around the corner, and you're celebrating it by launching a book written by Black authors. People are always like, "Where are the Black authors?" They're right here. That's awesome.
First, I was so excited to hear about Black Writers Weekend. A friend of mine that published a book on his journey of being a Black dad, he participated last year, and he said it was life-changing, and he said, "Jazz, you have to get on it." I go online, I'm looking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, please let me reserve a spot. How do I get, a piece of this experience? Even though I'm here in Southern California, but I will be in ATL next year. That's
Oh
for sure.
yeah.
Celebrating, but I'm really happy to be a part of this weekend and all the celebrations for sure.
We're definitely excited for you to be a part of it as well. So let's take it back to the first book that you put out. Was it
Yeah.
last year? Did it
No,
come
it's
out?
well, my dissertation was a couple years ago
Okay.
that I wrote, and I captured the lives of Black college athlete activists. And so this book, and it was life-changing. I was going through a PhD program, being a Black woman in a PhD program at a predominantly white institution. Their particular department was pretty conscious. They had some faculty that were with it, but nonetheless, just navigating higher education as a Black woman was an experience of my own. And as a former athlete and coach, at everything that was going on in the world, right, as we saw at the professional level with Kaepernick, as we saw at the collegiate level with, University of Missouri, and so many athletes, right, at the collegiate level, just leaning into their activism. And so I'm so proud of the work that I did with that. But Walter, I always wanted to build something, create something for the people. I was able to create a model called the BALL model, which is the Black Athlete Activist Leadership Model. And that was for folks, stakeholders, coaches, faculty, staff, community, people that say that they support Black athletes and their activism. And so literally from the narratives of the wonderful college students that I was able to just walk through life with for that year, I created something that can help those to say they really want to support them. And so I'm proud of that. But I always wanted to, like I said, build something for the people, for either the aspiring activist and advocate. And so slowly from 2019, I'm taking notes, and I'm kind of reflecting on my journey, as an activist and as a Black woman, and just all these different things start to come up. And then I look back, at my dissertation, some things that were like on the cutting room floor, and I continued to work with activists and student athletes and, community. And this summer, or last summer, 2020, that was the catalyst. Like I was saying, I found out I was pregnant on March 10th of 2020, and the world shut down, March 13th.
Right.
And
Man.
so I felt, and then everything, that backdrop of what was happening that summer, right? The injustices of Black bodies have been happening, right, for decades, but particularly there was something different. There was something in the air. And I think it was this crash of consciousness due to that quarantine and coronavirus, right? So folks, we literally couldn't go anywhere. And so most of us, use social media as an outlet. And so those that had the privilege to not engage in activism or decide to not use their voice couldn't go anywhere, because you look on your phone, or your laptop, and you're literally seeing Black people perish before our eyes, right? And so every state in the US of A and internationally were marching and protesting, and I couldn't, Walter. I was pregnant, right? We're in a pandemic, and so marching and protesting is one of the vehicles of choice of activism that I use. So I felt such despair. I felt helpless. How can I continue to give back? What can I do to support the people in the movement? And then also, like I said, with this heightened consciousness, I'm having some of my white buddies, co-workers, colleagues, old classmates calling and texting me, Gyasmine, teach me, I'm so sorry. And even, non-Black, and even, non-white, just folks were, like I said, this consciousness, something was happening last year. And I didn't have the capacity. I was growing and birthing a free little Black boy, and that was my priority. And so that was that kick in the pants for me to say, Jazz, go back to all your notes and reflect back on your time. And what were some common things, right? That the folks said, what were some advice and things that they wish they would have known as they grew into their activism, as they grew into their advocacy. And in academia, you get these doctorates and they say, publish, publish, publish. And they mean these journals, right? And it's a small amount of prestigious journals. Well, Walter, sometimes it takes months, sometimes even a year to get an article published or things like that. And I was doing that because there's so many people all over the world that are trying to get, submit in these journals. that are seen as prestigious, I guess. And then I'm submitting these things, and I realized that my work didn't fit in the box. And so with everything that was going on, I said, I have to create, literally the epitome of Black Writers Weekend. I put out a call on my social medias, and I said, hey, I'm looking for consulting agencies, Black owned, women owned, Black or Indigenous people of color. I got something cooking. I want to do something. And one of my good friends, my wedding planner, actually texted me and said, my brother helps authors publish. And we got on a Zoom July of 2020, and it was just instant. And I was like, oh, this is God. This is great. And he had a team of editors work with me. They continued to elevate my game. And my friend, boom, the book, Black How. It's here. It's in the flesh. It's right here. Boom, boom, boom. Hold up, up. And yeah,
love that.
Love
that cover is amazing.
And something else I want to share about the cover. Josh Swodick, dope guy, dope artist. This is my father right here, who was a former member of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. And as I continue to grow older, he's since passed away. My mom passed away in 2018. So this journey of growing into my identity and paying homage to them was so beautiful, because my dad passed when I was younger. And so I started to reflect, right? I started to talk to aunts and uncles again. And then remembering the different, like, either Black Panther paraphernalia or super pro Black stuff. And when you're like 10 and 11, you're not downloading that. And so to go back down memory lane, earning, my PhD, I didn't want to take that opportunity for granted. I wanted to do something. And like I said, this past year and some change, being pregnant, being in a space of, wow, I'm bringing Black life into the world. So I guess I birthed two things. I birthed two things. Yeah.
Mother too.
Mother, it's been beautiful. And I'm just so happy that now it's here, it's out. And I hope that it empowers folks.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, first of all, congratulations on giving birth. Congratulations on a pregnancy throughout the pandemic. And congratulations on coming to a place where you're like, one, I can do this, doing this a unique way compared to other people, some of your peers, but putting this book out that's really impactful, because I think that what you're doing is helping a lot of different people, not only people who are maybe not like physically able to go out and protest and be on the streets, but really want to, but also just providing another opportunity for people who may be able to physically go out, but there's all sorts of reasons not to go out to protest, but there's still ways to do it. And I'm just so glad that you put that book out.
I think one of my main goals was to debunk the myth that when people think of activists or activism, they only think of protesting, right? And what I really wanted to do is unpack all the beautiful ways that we can speak truth to power, right? And so in the book, I break down different roles and different vehicles. I talk about scholarly activism, I talk about grassroots, and then of course, the marching and protesting and others, so that I'm hoping folks can see themselves in the vehicles. And then I talk about the different roles, because we all have, a ecosystem of influence, whether big or small. And now is the time we've got to use our voice. We all have some sort of privilege where we can speak against it, right? And if it's whether personal injustices or systemic, now's the time. And so I try to really break down and articulate the great diversity and the ways in which we can move this thing. We can continue the movement. So really happy that, my goal is, I'm hoping folks see themselves in the book. And it's, I guess that's like the professor and the counselor in me. I have somewhat of like calls to action. So reflective points after each chapter. And so I, for those that are trying to figure out what role or what vehicle they play, there's reflective questions in the book where I'm hoping, and folks can write in it. They don't have to, but folks can write it. But really it's this living, breathing handbook that they can continue spaces where they're trying to figure out, where am I, who am I in this fight? Because we need everybody.
Yes, we do. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's included, everyone's welcome. I think that's the beautiful thing about this. It's like it doesn't matter how much you understood or knew about before, regardless of your race, you could still do something
Oh
by
yeah.
following a
Oh yeah.
lead, following example, and by reading this book that
Hmm.
you put out. Can you share the title and show the cover one more time?
Oh, my pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, we're gonna
The
show it five
title
more times,
is,
really, to be
oh, yes,
honest.
yes,
But
yes. The title is Love is at the Root of Resistance, Strategies of Activism, Advocacy, and Liberation. And like I said, this is just, and my buddy who I said, did the cover, I sent him this large picture. So it's this giant picture, almost the size of this one, as you see the 1968 Olympics. It's that big. My friend gifted it to us, and he framed it for us. And I sent him obviously the picture of it. He didn't know which one my dad was. So when he sends me the mock of the cover, and I see my daddy right here doing his,
right at the top.
it was tears. I knew that it was continuing, it was divine, and that mom and dad were with me, and so yes, 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 available on Amazon, available on drjasmine.com, and just go scoop it up and tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody about it.
Love that, man. And also, Lady T, shout out to you one more time. She was sharing that it's so emotional, the truth of just knowing what to do and where you fit in
Yeah,
it all. That is so real. That is so
that's,
real. It's yes,
I
thank you
think
for sharing.
I think, as Lady T talked about, and folks that have, had the opportunity to read or really have just walked with me in the journey, we all come in pockets where we're either filled with so much anger or pain, or even just being resentful of things that are happening either to our communities or communities that we love. And sometimes we don't know what to do with all of that. Right. And so I've felt
Right.
that. I've felt that through the years where I don't want to, this is anger, but how can I channel this for good? How can I use this privilege that I have, or positionality or voice? How can I do that? And so sometimes that's what, and I would have to say, particularly, as I think about it, as I was putting it together, a lot of the folks that weren't as conscious, or, that had the privilege of looking the other way. Right. And I can't just say it's only just, my white brothers and sisters. No, there were some folks, Black folks, brown folks that for whatever reason, they either were afraid or they just didn't know where they fit in, right? They just didn't know their calling.
Right.
And we are all called to impact, chip away and try to dismantle these systemic injustices. And, like I said, the book really, really articulates that. The beginning, I give a little bit of the different types of racism, and different types of oppression. So kind of a quick history lesson, and then that's where I break down the different roles. And from there, I created something called the AGM, which is the activism growth model. So that literally is, like I said, I think it's like probably the professor in me. I wanted to center the narratives of the activists that I had a chance to just walk through life with over the past few years, but I wanted folks to have something tangible to take away.
Yeah.
And
And can
so
you say the acronym one more time?
it's the AGM, the
Mhm.
activism growth model.
I
And so
love
that's the
that.
first part of the book, where each chapter is a tenet. So there's 7 tenets of the AGM. And so these are things that as you're looking to grow into your advocacy and activism, touching upon these pillars. And like I said, each chapter, there's about 3 or 4 questions at the end where you're reflecting, right?
Mm.
And you're asking and things like that. The second half of the book, I incorporate that BALL model, the Black Athlete Activist Leadership Model. But the beautiful thing about it is, Walter, is that as I continue to do my research, that model not only obviously centers the needs of Black athlete activists, but also activists of color. So the pillars and the tenets that, when I would ask the students and ask the activists, hey, what's something that we as either community, family, faculty, what can we do better, less, more to support you, like really support you? And so literally spoken from the mouths of babes. And as I continue to work with, students of color, activists of color, all of those were common things that they say, this is what we need from y'all. And so, like I said, that first part of the book is the AGM, where you're figuring out who you are in this call. The second half, talks about specialized populations. So, okay, you about that life, you want to be an activist, you want to figure it out. And in order to do that, you also have to continue to pay it forward and be knowledgeable about other minoritized or oppressed groups, and how can you support them. So my goal is it's a whole holistic jam. You're figuring out who you are, and then how can you continue to understand and support others. So that's the flow of Love is at the Root of the Resistance.
That is amazing, and this is a book that's going to be premiered next Friday as well.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that is awesome. That's
Yeah.
really
So,
cool.
like I said, it's already available on Amazon. It launched, like I said, a couple days for my birthday in April, and I, still in the pandemic, still is, the world's kind of opening up. I was trying to figure out, this is wonderful. I did a thing. I did a really cool thing.
You did a thing.
An
amazing, a really dope thing.
Like, how can we? I think sometimes we're going and we don't celebrate these victories, or we don't just take a breath and say, "Yo, I did a thing," and it was big. And so I said, how can we celebrate? Some folks, as people are getting vaccinated, and or some folks haven't or choose not to, or whatever the case. So what can we do to make it comfortable for folks to get on here, learn more about me, celebrate, toast, right, to the book, and kick off Juneteenth weekend. So that's what next Friday is. It's virtual space, and Eventbrite. You can get your tickets through Eventbrite, or any of my socials. I've got the link, in the bio. And like I said, I send a copy of my book. I write a special note to those that are able to come and get the ticket, and then we're gonna have a good time, music and all the things. It's gonna be a good time.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Thank you so much for joining us. I have one more question for you, but before we get there, I definitely want to take the time to thank our sponsors. This event we could have done, but not at the magnitude that we did because of your support. So thank you so much for all of your contributions for Black Writers Weekend, because now we not only have an experience in person, but also a virtual experience where we get to hear from Dr. Gyasmine and have people from all over connect and learn with us. So thank you very much for supporting. Now, Dr. Gyasmine, can you tell us a little bit about the book launch too that's happening next Friday? Because, oh man, this sounds so cool to do it in the way you're doing it as well.
It's, it was so interesting just when you have to create another vehicle, another realm, another avenue, right? Because you write a book, and, you reach out to either Barnes and Nobles or, a small or a Black owned place. And then, you have either a tour or come. Well, that just wasn't an option. And so, like I said, I'm really working on making sure that I'm celebrating the little victories and just having fun. And so when I was, like I said, the book launched officially in April, but I said, what can we do? What can we do to celebrate? And so I said, Friday, June 18th, the day before Juneteenth, celebrating, Black authors, Black love, Black liberation, Black resistance, all the things. And so I said, that's it. That's the date. So like I said, I've got two of my best girlfriends, two dynamic Black women. They're going to be co-moderated. We're going to have a good conversation. They're going to continue to, share a little about my journey, talk a little bit about the book. Then we'll have some Q&A. But, like I said before, Happiest Hours, follow them, Happiest, and then the O, like ours, OURS. My buddies, they've created 2 recipe cards. So we were going to email those out before, so folks could have their drinks ready, right? Or they want to do a virgin margarita, it's all good. But one of the names of the drinks is going to be the Liberation Margarita, and then the other drink is 40 Acres and a Mule, so the Moscow Mule. I know it's fun, it's have a good time, but like I said, we're going to kick the night off. We're going to have some music. We're going to kick the night off with a toast from my buddies with Happiest Hours, and just have a good time and just be in this space to just celebrate all things Black, all things creative, right? And stop and also pay homage to Juneteenth, because without Juneteenth, we would not be here, or at least in this capacity, and so I couldn't think of another date, another weekend to have this event. And hopefully, as things open back up, we'll continue to have more of the traditional book launches or events, but I'm very appreciative and blessed that we can do something at the virtual space, just like right now. Can't
That's
be in
right.
Atlanta, but I'm here talking with you, Walt. So
That's right. I might not be in California, but I could tune into the book signing.
I will email you the link. I will send you all the things. It'll be my pleasure to have you, man.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, Dr. Gyasmine, can you hold the book up one more time for us?
Oh, you ain't got to threaten me with a good time. Here you go. Here you go. Oh, let me see if I can screenshot that just with one hand. Oh, yes.
Hey, you did it. You got to send that over to us.
But nice. This is the book, This Labor of Love. I'm so appreciative. And tell a friend, tell your mama and them, tell that slightly problematic coworker to go ahead and pick it up and learn a few things, because we need everybody. And I'm hoping that this book is a great lighthouse, and a guide to do that.
Man, well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I really enjoyed hearing about your journey. I'm sure our audience have as well. Lady T just shared. I'm in awe of what you're speaking about. Keep doing the work. And give me a shout out too.
Yes, Lady T, thank you.
Yes, we will definitely keep reporting. And everyone, if you're tuning in now, this is part of the Black Writers Weekend experience. It's a hybrid of in-person in Atlanta and virtual, global, all over the world, speaking to Black writers, authors, literary, specialists, experts, and all of the above. So there's more events happening. Make sure you're following on all the channels, Black Writers Weekend, and also to see if you can find us in the Discord group. You see what, you'll be able to find out everything that's going on there.
Yes, I love that. And I'll post the information on the Discord as well.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Gyasmine, for joining. Hope you all have a great weekend.
Thank you, Walt. Pleasure to meet you. Thank y'all for all the love and support.